Race, racism, racist. Highly charged words that are used to describe somebody, something, or someone. It's in the air all the time, on our social media, on our streets, and in our news. We talk about race relations, racist behaviors, racial diversity, as if it's a finite discussion with a beginning and an end, like a neat question that has one definite answer. But the truth of it is that when we talk about race, it's an ongoing, forever-changing topic that never leaves us. But there's one particular type of racial abuse that I wanted to know more about. And it started when the US President, Donald Trump, made comments about 4 US congresswomen, telling them to go back from where they came. And it became a massive talking point. Even the BBC got involved.
And every time I have been told, as a woman of colour, to go home, to go back to where I came from, that was embedded in racism.
The BBC's Naga Munchetty's comments sparked a nationwide debate on what people thought is and isn't racist. And it got me thinking about a sense of home, belonging, and identity.
It's made me think about all the times that people have told me that they've been told to go back to where they came from. A lot of us are born and raised here. So where exactly do they want us to go back to?
For me, exploring this issue of home and identity and what it means for so many of us starts in my actual home. So meet my mum and dad, Bhakti and Indra. Dad came from Kenya in 1969 at 6 years old, and Mum from Uganda when she was 14.
It was 1972 November, October, November, that we flew from Uganda to come over here. We landed at Stansted Airport. Yes, we were really welcomed. For me to say anything else, I think it's wrong. Maybe after we settled down, and we had our own place to move back again to and things like that. We had a slight situation with some of the British people calling us names and...
What sort of names?
They were calling us Packies and telling us to go back where you came from, things like that.
You know, when you have comments from people saying go back to where you come from, it's like they could say to me, go back to where I come from because I was born in India. They could say that to Mum, yeah, we can go back. But for example, if they said that to you, what would you say? Where do you want me to go? Back to Denham, back to Kingsbury, or back to Edgware? Sometimes you just have to tolerate. You can see it in front of you what's happening, and you just have to tolerate.
Just ignore it.
And just turn a blind eye because life is too busy. You just got to carry on, you know?
Is that the right attitude to have, to just turn a blind eye? I mean, I feel like that's a very kind of your generation and the generation before you type of like perspective, whereas my generation is about showing that we belong here and actually you have no right to say otherwise.
You know, the colour of your skin, the religion you are, and the language you speak differentiates you from people around you.
Mum says she's British, Indian, and Ugandan. I like that she's not going to be labelled as just one identity, but that all three make her who she is. And is my dad right that it's your religion, the language that you speak, and the colour of your skin that sets you apart? Born and raised in the UK, Naomi Alua is a uni student studying international history and politics. And recently, she's found some success on TikTok. As a black woman on social media, Naomi soon realised that as her following grew, so did the racial abuse.
So I received a lot of comments telling me to go back home and I speak up about racism in this country. So I've packed my bag and I've got my passport because I'm going back home. But, oh wait, United Kingdom of Great Britain and who would have thought I'm a British citizen? When I'm fighting against racism and then you tell me to go back home, you're just proving that there's racism in this country.
I'd always joke that I'd become TikTok famous by doing the dances. And I'll get lots of free clothes from it. And then just overnight, I gained 7,000 followers by just ranting online, just about racism in this country and just venting my frustration, I received a comment telling me to go back to Africa. I've been called a monkey, I've been called a slave online, I've been told that no amount of makeup can hide my disgusting complexion, I've been told that I should bleach my skin, and I've been called ugly just based on the fact I am black. The turning point was everything that happened in America, especially with the unfortunate death of George Floyd. It kind of turned into more of an activist page for me, when I was just educating people on things such as racism today and Black British history. And many people were saying, oh, well, we're fine in the UK, there's no racism at all. And that just got me very annoyed. When Black Lives Matter say we want to end institutionalised racism, people are like, there is no institutionalised racism. The Equality Act of 2010. But then people don't want to do the extra research into it, because if you haven't lived through it, you won't know it's there. So I just aim to just educate people on that, and just so people have a better understanding of what it means to be black in the United Kingdom in 2020.
How often do you get told to go back?
I would say about 10 times a week.
And do you think it's amplified because you are on TikTok? Were you receiving that same abuse?
I think I'd heard that comment once in my life. And then once I got bigger on TikTok, it became almost a daily occurrence. I received that comment.
So what was the difference between the first time it was told to you on TikTok and now?
The first time it was told to me on TikTok, I was deeply offended and I was hurt by the comment, because this is my home, this is my country. I love this country. They're basically saying, you don't belong here because you're not white. And it just removes a sense of belonging from this country. But now when I received the comment, I'm not even impacted by it that much anymore, because I almost expect to receive it at least once a day now. I never thought I would be used to racism, but I'm now very used to racism, especially from strangers online.
What would you say to people who told you to go back to where you came from?
I'd say I'm home. London is my home, especially places like Notting Hill, which I have a strong attachment to. And just because the colour of my skin makes you uncomfortable, that doesn't make it less my home. London is a beautiful, multicultural city that embraces everybody regardless of their race, so it's my home.
I went to meet Zubair Munsif after reading about an incident he experienced that went viral.
In England, sod off.
But I'm a Muslim. I was born here.
Yeah, I don't care if you was born here.
But I was born here.
You're a Muslim.
Yeah, I contribute to this country. I pay my tax.
Yeah, I don't care.
I was on my way to the supermarket. I saw a guy that I know. He's wearing a salwar kameez, so like a long kind of looking shirt. And he's a really sweet, gentle guy. So I just said hello to him. As I was walking into the supermarket, you can hear this noise behind me. On instinct, you turn around and I saw this guy coming towards me, just talking to me. And then he starts saying, go back to where you came from. And at that point, I got my phone out and started videoing what this guy wanted to say to me.
So where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go?
Where do you want to? You can sod off.
To where though? Can you pay for my plane ticket?
Hey?
Can you pay for my...
Out your bleeding here.
Right.
You take this out your bleeding ears and...
Right. Can you pay for my plane ticket?
Hey?
That wasn't very nice.
No, it's not very
That
nice.
wasn't very nice.
Muslims are not very nice either.
Well, you're not being very nice to me either.
Oh, no, I'm not.
I don't know where this came from. I don't know where he kind of got that kind of drive to say that or idea to say that. I said, that's not a very nice
thing for you to say, really, is it?
It's not nice. But Muslims are not nice.
But I'm a nice person.
Well, you might be nice, but you're unusual.
And then at that point, I think towards the end, the staff at the supermarket intervened. Funnily enough, they came for me first, thinking that I was probably harassing this old white guy.
Can I help at all? This man has been really racist.
I've been talking to him about Muslims.
Okay, right, well...
They kind of turn to him and he starts telling him, saying, yeah, I'm telling him to go back to where he came from. And he just kind of walks off and continues to do his shopping. And then the manager kind of dealt with him, and I think they kicked him out of the supermarket and everything else. But yeah, he was completely in his own world, I thought. I think he was very comfortable in saying what he was saying. And I was just left there going, oh, okay. I've grown up in Cardiff when the Asian community, the Muslim community was tiny. I was one of, I think, 4 or 5 Asian kids at my school. And our religion was never picked out on.
That's where our classrooms were. The bit on the left, that was like a little centre, like a community centre, I think.
One more question from me. I just want to know what home means to you.
Home is comfort. Home is being with my parents. Home is being with my brother and sister. Home is here. And as long as my parents are in Cardiff, Cardiff will always be my home as well.
It's hard to find all the answers to the questions that so many of us have about who we are, because the discussions around race and identity are constantly changing. We learn how to talk about it on social media, from our friends and family, and even more formally at university level.
Even though I do not define myself solely by my race, a lot of the time the society that I live in does. When people first see me, the first thing they see is my race and then my gender. And from seeing my race and my gender, assumptions, stereotypes are made. And so for me, exploring and researching identity and race has been foundational in understanding not only how I understand who I am, but how society perceives me.
I did not know anything about colonialism until I got to university, really. I was shocked. I was really, really shocked that over 18 years of being in school, I hadn't learnt about any of this. This idea that people in the UK then form their identities based off being great British people, whilst also maybe not having a full sort of understanding of actually why we are so great, if we are, why we have so much wealth, why we have so much power in the world. If we don't have an understanding of how we got here, how can we be so proud of it?
The first time I was told to go back to my own country, I was walking down the street. I had my child in a pram, and I had a young child, I think he was like 4, holding on to the pram beside me, and I was just walking home. And there was a man on the other side of the street who had a massive dog off his leash, and he had a metal leash wrapped around his fist. And then he was like, yeah, you F off to, like, go back to your own country. And I was sure that he was going to do something, but he actually just came over and just shouted at me again, go back to your own country. I'm going to try and not get emotional. But it was just, first of all, your love for this country, you don't know if your love for this country is bigger than the love I have for this country. I'm proud to be Scottish. This is my country.
Aisha was born and raised in Scotland and found faith when she was 18. She has a YouTube channel where she often gets abused.
You're a traitor, an extremist, you're dumb. You head towel, you ninja, get back to where you're from. You're an influenced little girl who knows nothing about the world. You're a victim, and that's the reason why you turned. When I'm putting videos out online, the comments, the feedback I get is often more negative than it is positive. And that is just because I choose to be who I am.
How often do people assume that you're not from the UK?
All the time, every single day, every single day. And there's nothing more funny than being in a situation where people think that you don't even speak the language and they're speaking in front of you.
If you were in a situation where someone had said to you that you need to go back to where you come from, how would you reply to them?
I would say, let's go, let's grab a bus, it's just down the road. You know, my house is just down the road, so come with me. Do you want tea? Do you want to know more? The assumption doesn't offend me, it's how you treat me after it. Seeing something that's different, there's a fear that comes with that. So it's the fear of the unknown. And I feel like that's why me saying, come with, let's talk. I feel like that will take away that fear, and then ultimately what you get is just two average people talking about differences in life.
Aisha's story really hit me in a way that I didn't expect. Just being out and about with her, I saw firsthand the verbal abuse she receives. It was quite aggressive and othering, and I was really angry for her and at them. Aisha told me that growing up as a white woman before being Muslim, she never faced the racism she experiences now. She was never told to go back home and never made to feel different. We hear the term white privilege bandied around a lot, but what does it actually mean? I met Dr. Sholomo Shobamumu to understand how our lived experiences are different because of the color of our skin. You might have seen her on television and online. She's an author and a lawyer and frequently talks about race.
White privilege really just speaks to the advantage white people have in comparison to black people and ethnic minorities simply because of the color of their skin. That's it. It doesn't mean wealth. It doesn't mean class. It just means advantage. The privilege there is an advantage. And there are too many examples of this. And so many people of color can give such examples, right? That white people will never experience because they're not us. And racism is not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of experience, whether it's the language used or actions taken or indifference. People don't understand that their indifference and obliviousness to somebody else's pain contributes to racism. That is the problem. So when people are complicit through their silence because they can't see the racism, and it is outright wrong to deny our lived experience. It is absolutely wrong that not only do we, as a people, and we are British, right? Not only do we have to defend ourselves from racism, we have to explain that racism to people who perpetrate it against us. Then we have to bear the brunt of their denial. This is not the time for black people and ethnic minorities to suffer in silence. This is the time to speak up. This is the time to stand by your truth. This is not the time to waver and cower, because that's exactly what they want to do. What they don't understand, though, is that someone like me, I stand on the shoulder of 3,000 ancestors who came before me, who have seen this before, who are saying to me, you need to shut this down because we have no time for it. So and I would very much say to a lot of other people who are ethnic minorities, black people, biracial, that your identity can only be defined by you. So I say have as many commas as you like. Let nobody put any full stop to you. Don't even tolerate it. It's unacceptable. So I think when people are faced with this awful abuse, this otherism, I think it's so important for you to stand strong. And remember, nobody defines you. You need to say, I am home. I.am.home. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
I call myself British Indian, or East African Indian, or British East African, or just British, or just Indian. You can see it's really complicated because I'm all of those things. Being told to go back to where you came from is hugely problematic because it's a form of racism and xenophobia that is always aimed at people of colour, despite them being British. It's the same as asking, how long have you lived here? Or what are you? Or where were you born? Because it questions your citizenship status. Challenging racism means you call it out in all its forms. And it especially means owning your identity to change the narrative about what it means to be British. I've never lived in India. I visited Uganda once. So of course, Britain is home, and I am British.